Okay, I said I was going to do it, and I'm going to do it. So I'm going to do the seven deadly sins. And I didn't put these in any particular order. I'm just doing them in the way I found them. But what the seven deadly sins are, okay, as a youth, I think I've said this, well, I know I've said this in the past. My father was a Satanist, but what people don't understand is I studied a lot of the magical arts, as they call them. I was reading Aleister Crowley at age 8. Now, Aleister Crowley is a white magician, despite what people like to say. Now, what is white magic? White magic is the practice of self-regulation to calm the self and unite the parts of the self back into being one being. The seven deadly sins are a series, or the seven vices, are a series of behaviors that need to be kept under control. And if they're not kept under control, you will have issues. You will have problems. Now, the first one that I'm going to deal with is gluttony. Now, the problem with gluttony is, and this is interesting because gluttony is an interesting sin because a lot of Christians, this is their favorite sin. They might not drink the booze, they might not be a whoremonger, they might not do any of these other behaviors, but they're always 700 pounds. Or I shouldn't say always, but a good number of Christians, particularly Protestants and evangelicals, are very, very overweight because they like to indulge in what they consider a non-sinful behavior, which is overeating. Now, gluttony is very important because it's responsible for a lot of the preventable diseases that we face as a civilization today. And a lot of times what happens when one succumbs to gluttony, and again, remember, these are things that we need to avoid, and if we don't, or not avoid, I shouldn't say that, you can't totally avoid them, but you need to keep them within control or you will have health problems. And this is what I discovered when I read, I started reading books on Christianity. I was homeless for a while. And one of the books I read was Rediscovering Catholicism, which is how I came to the conclusion that Christianity, if practiced according to the actual dictates of a set system, is white magic, like Aleister Crowley professed. And actually, Aleister Crowley explains that in his book, Magic Liber ABA, where he states that magic is the practice of Buddha, Muhammad, and Christ, and the yogis put to the scientific method. The method is the same, more or less, except for some of the fancy stuff on top. But back to gluttony being a very avoidable cause of health concerns, overeating is a very big problem, as is undereating. But these things can be very easily regulated through mindfulness. And when I say mindfulness, I'm not talking about some psychological theory. I'm talking about paying attention to when you're eating, how much you're eating, and what you're eating. And other than that, what Crowley suggested in his book, particularly, it's been replaced obviously with a rubber band. A lot of white magicians use a rubber band to snap back, and it's also in the monasteries they would use a flagellation. But what Crowley suggested is that you cut yourself. Now, I'm not suggesting that you cut yourself. I do not promote self-mutilation, so please do not think that I do. What I would recommend is actually writing down your behaviors and keeping track of them that way. But keep in mind, I used to be a personal trainer, and when I worked in mental health, I ran a what do you call it, a overeating group, but it wasn't just for overeating. The psychiatrist, because I was a personal trainer, they loved sending me people with every kind of eating disorder. Anorexia, bulimia, all sorts of nonsense. So I would have to re-regulate and personalize everything to each one of these folks. And it did actually help me understand a lot of how to help people regulate their eating. Of course, as with Christians, the mentally ill do not always follow instruction.